Hello, welcome all to my channel. Today we are going to continue a discussion with data independence in DBMS. So let's start. Database is the collection of very huge kind of an information. Let's say you have launched one application. By the time as the user increases, more data is generated. If you face any kind of a problem and you need to make the changes in a database, then subsequently you have to make the changes in the application. Now imagine that if you face some problems frequently and if you want to make the changes in the database, that many times you have to change your application. But this one is not the feasible solution or the feasible way to make the changes in your database. So we have to find some kind of a sophisticated solution through which we can make the changes in the database or in a backend without modifying or changing the application. The solution for this problem is nothing but the data independence. This three schema architecture can be used to explain the concept of data independence. We will be just see it in detail now. But in short, the data independence is the property of an DBMS that helps you to change the database schema at one level of an DBMS without requiring to change the schema at next higher level. In a technical way, if I want to define the data independence, I can say that it is an ability to modify the schema definition in one level without affecting a schema definition in the next higher level is called as data independence. We have already seen the three schema architecture it consists of three schema levels, that is external schema, conceptual schema, and the internal schema. View schema, or you can say the external level, where the end user directly interact with data through app or the website. Data abstraction is one of the feature of the DBMS through which we are trying to hide the irrelevant data from the end user. Now, nextly, we are just come to the point that if we have to carry the many number of changes in the database frequently, now imagine if the data independence is not the facility available, then if we make the changes in a physical level, then we have to make the subsequent kind of changes in all other schema level. It will be required if there is no data independence concept will exist. But with the help of a data independence, if we change one of the schema at one level, then we don't need to modify any kind of a higher level schema. For example, if we modify the conceptual schema, then we don't need to make any kind of any changes in the external schemas or the view level. And that is the beauty of the data independence, that wherever you require, that only changes will be made in that particular schema without affecting the higher level schema. This data independence can be achieved with the two ways. One is logical data independence and another is physical data independence. Let's see one by one. First of all, this one is the diagram which tells you where actual physical data independence work and logical data independence. Physical data independence, it works in between the physical level and conceptual level, or you can say in between the external schemas and the conceptual schema. Logical data independence work in between conceptual level and external level, or you can say the external schema. We will be see first of all the physical data independence. Physical data independence. Right now I told you that it works in between the physical level or internal schemas and a logical level or the conceptual schema. It is the capacity to change the internal schema without having to change the conceptual or the external schema. These are the some of the definition that it is the ability to modify the physical schema without causing application program to be written. Obviously, this application program is available in a view level or the external schema. Modification at the physical level are occasionally necessary to improve the performance. It means we change the physical storage or the levels without affecting the concept or the external view of the data. If we change, the new change are absorbed by the mapping technique. For example, if we move the data, here I have just in the physical data, what happens, I tried to explain with a figure over here. If we make any kind of any changes in the internal schema, that means you don't want to make the changes in a conceptual schema. For example, if you move data from one location to another, that is, you are changing in physical level, but that does not mean we changes at conceptual schema. Means if we change the location, but the if we change the location from one memory location to the another, but it will not affect on the tables in that it not get any kind of a modification. Similarly, if we change the data structure or we modify the indexes or we alter the file organization techniques or if we make some kind of any changes in the access method, these all will be takes place at the internal schema, but it not going to be affect on the conceptual schema. These all changes are carried out in a physical level but not affected in the logical level. That's the way it is achieved by the physical data independence. Now we are going to just see what about the logical data independence. As previously I told you that logical data independence work in between the conceptual schema and the external schema. It is the capacity to change conceptual schema without having to change the external schemas or the application program. It modifies the logical schema without affecting or causing application program to be written. Modification at the logical levels are necessary whenever the logical structure of the database is altered. That is when the money market accounts are added to the banking system. The logical data independence means if we add some new columns or remove some of the columns from the table, then the user view or the program should not be get changed. Now let's say we have, so for example, this one is again, we are trying to explain this one, that is any kind of any changes you will be text place in a conceptual schema, it is not going to be affect on the external view of your application. Let's say we add some of the new attributes in a table in a database. That is, you are modifying at a conceptual level, but it will be not affect on the external schema. Here, the first column is nothing but an ID, but in a conceptual level, if I will be make the changes, that is, instead of an ID, I can be considered account underscore ID. So that is actually not going to be changed in the view of the table. The application which end user uses not get it not get changed anywhere. So for example, that is whatever the changes we are carried out in the conceptual level, that is modify the attributes or the entities in the table, if we change the relationship between the tables or merging or dividing the records is carried out, or in any of the cases the altering of the table structure is carried out, all these kind of work we are carried out of the conceptual schema, but it is not going to be affect on the external schema, and that's why it is nothing but called as logical data independence. Nextly, we are seeing that what are the advantages of the data independence. First of all, it is very useful to improve the performance. We can make the changes in a physical or the logical level without any complication. We without any complication, and hence we can improve the performance of our application. Next is the modification in the data structure does not require the modification in the application program. That is the basic theme that why we move towards the data independence. We can make the data independence. There is no dependencies and we can modify at one level without affecting the top level. Next is the implementation details can be hidden from the user. Here, user can show only the relevant data to him by hiding the irrelevant data for the user interaction. And this will be is not going to be with the help of a data independence. The external view is not going to be changed and means user is unknown about what is the changes will be takes place at the backend. So this is all about for the today's session. Thank you.